Just remember, Resident Evil 2 had an incident with zombies.
There's been an
incident. Yes.
Welcome to Madness, a show where we randomly generate a bracket of the best in any given subject. Every single entry in this series was voted in by our audience, and we've assembled a panel to discuss the best games of the PlayStation 1. Today, Jim Caddick, Barry Kramer, Gerard Khalil, and Shane Gill join me, Forrest Lee, as we start the bracket off with some of the greatest games to grace the Sony console. It's Resident Evil 2 versus Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and this is Madness.
Welcome to Season 3 of Madness. This time, it's on PlayStation Games. That's cool.
I thought it'd be cool if it was
It's properly mad here.
Yeah, we're angry.
Mad.
So before we get started, again, we have some special guests. Would you guys like to?
Yeah, I'm Shane.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I laughed that much. I'm sorry. You are special. You're very special. Sorry. I don't know why.
The internet's very own Shane Gill.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Born and raised in the internet.
Yes.
Yes,
Came out of a
yes.
floppy drive.
But yeah, Barry, Caddy, would you like to?
My name is Barry, and I'm on Twitch and YouTube. There's probably stuff there. Thank you.
Thank you, Future Lee.
Future Lee is the best, as is presently.
Aw.
Hey everyone, I'm Caddy, also known as Caddicarus on YouTube. Well, Jim, Caddy, whatever you want to call me. And I'm here really because we're doing PlayStation stuff, and that is where I got my roots from my channel. That's where I grew. And thanks to these two here, that's why I'm actually still sitting here, basically. They made me...
You would be dead.
I basically would be, yeah.
I took that bullet.
Yeah, no, they did. But yeah,
I carried the body.
yeah. So I feel like the input here would be I mean, I have got PS1 tattoos on my hands. This is Abe from Abe's Exodus. So
Not
I feel like we got a little bit of I'm not going to say expertise.
Some
expertise.
representation.
Representation. Yeah, diversity. Yeah.
And I'm your polar opposite, because I didn't have a PS1.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
We have a variety of opinions, and that's going to be great.
Yes, it is.
yes.
So, first one we're going to start out with, I think might be the hardest matchup in the whole bracket. This one's hard. It is Resident Evil 2 versus Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Does anyone have any points they want to start out with?
It's madness. That's what it is.
It's about the games.
Castlevania is great. Thanks for watching. See you next season. Bye.
Yeah.
A real point, both of these games have horror elements.
That's true.
And one of those horrifying elements is the voice acting. Absolutely.
On both fronts.
I was going to say, not both.
On
Yeah,
both
but yeah,
fronts.
both.
On both,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, on both.
Well, one of them sounds like an Evanescence album, so that's either points for or against, depending on your worldview.
Very
I
true.
feel like, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like the voice acting sounds or the title?
No, like the
of
title of the
Okay,
game.
Okay.
Sounds like an
Resident
Evanescence.
Evil 2.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2.
I
Very
was gonna
bold.
say they both sound like an
They
Evanescence
actually
album.
do.
Actually,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
could- yeah.
If anything, they sound like albums related to each other. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, into Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, Castle, Resident,
Yeah.
No, Resident Evil 2 Castlevania.
Symphony
you
of
go.
the
Symphony
Night.
of the Night. But it's
Wow.
spelled like the letter 2,
Yeah.
the number 2.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Featuring Fallout Boy.
Castlevania's got maybe one of the best intros to any video game, bar none. Just, it's so goddamn stupid and
Was,
iconic, and I think we all love it.
Was the game with, it was Trevor at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
it's the ending of Rondo of Blood,
Wait,
isn't it?
Richter.
Yeah,
Was
you're,
it
you're,
Richter?
you're Richter
It's
Belmont
Richter.
playing the ending of Rondo of Blood, right?
Yeah, did
Yeah,
Rondo
yeah.
Blood come out before this?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so you were just straight up playing the end of that game? And
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
Ahead of its
do you
time.
know what it is? It's Evil Dead 2. Even though Evil Dead 2 completely retcons the original movie, it's kind of like you're replaying the ending of the bit before it and then carrying on with the rest of it. Yeah.
Dope.
Which is really confusing if you've never played Rondo of Blood, and you're like, who's this woman who just pops up
Yeah.
for like a second and then
Yeah.
I get super... I don't know what's going on.
Who is this man with the white hair throwing glass all over the floor? What is going on here?
I think one of the most important things about Symphony of the Night is that it is half responsible for the term that everyone uses freely today, and that is Metroidvania.
It's wholly responsible.
It's wholly,
It's
yeah.
wholly responsible.
People,
for it.
when it came out,
I say
people,
half because Vania Metroid.
Well, when it came out, people used that as like a snide comment against Castlevania. So it's like Castlevania, more like Metroidvania.
Don't
they
feel foolish?
And then they played it and they were like, oh shit, this is dope.
I've never played any of the Castlevania Metroidvanias. I've only played the old school, like Castlevania 1, 2, 3.
You're missing out.
Castlevania.
You're missing out.
Yeah. So I've played the first maybe hour or so total of Symphony of the Night, and I'm not super thrilled, if I'm being honest. And I know I'm making everyone stare daggers at me.
No.
right now.
I was gonna say, to be fair, when we're going back to the beginning of the game. So you got a pretty epic intro and everything, but as soon as you become Alucard, the game teases you because you have every ability. You're
Because it's a
insane-
Metroidvania.
Yeah, it's like you're insanely powerful, and then death appears and takes everything away. And then you're stuck with like a stick.
He appears.
No, you have your
and
fists.
Yeah, you
You're
have
just like,
he's like, and that's how he punches like that, like a rock and sock and robot.
It's definitely a bit of a slow start in Castlevania.
Yes, it is.
Compared to Resident Evil, where car crash, zombies on fire everywhere.
Yeah, and you will probably die.
You have 15 bullets, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most intense intros of any game.
Yeah.
The element of survival horror from Resident Evil 1 to 2 is drastically different because, in the first game, it's like you're in the mansion, the foyer, you've
got to learn the layout and
There's
stuff.
a zombie, it's coming after you, how you react.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 is you pick whether you're going to play as Leon or Claire, and then
You're off.
surprise, there's 8 zombies on fire, and they're cornering you in, and you have to run through what you think is a town based on the graphics
It's almost
and
like
get
they
through.
switched focus on that from like having like an atmospheric mystery horror vibe to just panic. Everything's coming to kill you.
Well, and I think a lot of that is the strength of Resident Evil 2, specifically in relation to 1, because 1 ended, and we thought, oh, the zombie outbreak obviously was taken care of because of the end of RE1. RE2 is like, no, it was not taken care of. It's gotten worse, and it's ruining the city, and you are a rookie cop or a woman trying to find her brother who was the hero of the first game. And so immediately within the first 5 minutes of the opening cutscene, the stakes are established, and it is true survival horror. You have nothing.
Not only that, but like the character, because it's his first day on the job, it's kind of like a parallel with the player because the player doesn't know what's going on either.
Exactly, yeah.
It seems like a smart evolution from like we're in a house to like or in a town. It's not the world is at stake. I mean, it kind of is the world at
It's
stake.
Town Evil 2.
Town Evil.
Town Evil 2.
Yeah.
Residence is evil.
Yeah,
The-
Residence is Evil.
The R-rated remake to Toontown.
Yeah. Boulevard Evil 2. There you go.
A bizarre incident occurred in the outskirts of an American suburb called Raccoon City.
One thing that struck with me actually is the pace of both games are completely swapped. And with Castlevania, the combat and the magic and everything, ridiculously fast-paced. You got all the magic, you got all the experience points, you're leveling up, everything's flashing, everything's falling apart, it's great. Resident Evil's combat, Resident Evil 2's combat, very slow, chuggy, tank-like, you're gonna die if you're not careful, you gotta watch what you're doing with your bullets, blah, blah, blah. But the movement, like you said, the beginning of the game, it's really fast-paced, which is unlike the first Resident Evil. The movement in Castlevania is very slow, and you have to backdash everywhere.
You have to moonwalk.
And then with Resident Evil 2, you can move around pretty fast once you get your head around the tank controls, but the combat is always the same chuggy, I'm probably gonna die kind of pace.
Well, I think to go along with it, and this is a great transitional point to get to, 2 things. One, Resident Evil 2 is very iconic, right? It was one of the first DualShock-based games out there on the PlayStation.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the PlayStation came out. It was
That
just
shows what I know.
The old PlayStation controllers were just had no analog sticks, had no rumble feature.
98, wasn't it? Resident Evil 2?
Resident Evil 2.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like,
98,
oh,
yeah.
the controller rumbles when I
DualShock
shoot my
edition.
gun. Oh my god.
Right, so that was it's the equivalent of Star Fox 64 getting the Rumble Pack for PlayStation fans.
God, I thought you said Starbucks 64.
Star Fox 64, yeah. But to go along with that, I think, while that was a really cool feature and a fun aspect of it, one of the most common complaints of Resident Evil, the tank controls really did not age
fantastic.
well for... You really like them?
I love them.
You love the tank controls.
They make the game scary.
I'm actually
You
with
try
Teddy on this one.
No. You try playing the first Resident Evil, even if you know that dog is coming through the window. How many times do you get hit by it? It's so hard to
It's like
not
the
die.
controls are bad in the sense that it's
deliberately
it feels unusual and it doesn't feel like you should be going as fast as you can go in, but they're not imprecise.
No,
They're
they
not bad
work. They
controls
work
in that
exactly how they
sense.
should work. They're not bad controls. It's just here's the perfect test, right? The Resident Evil GameCube remaster.
I was about to say
Yeah,
that...
because you can switch between tank on the D-pad and then full on analog control. You play with analog control, breaks the game. It completely breaks the game.
Well, the
it
thing is
becomes
that-
way
Well,
easier.
is that does that speak to the quality of the game, or
Well,
That's what I was about to
yes,
say.
but then the
That's
game was
the- that's-
originally
the
built
game was
with
built around-
yeah, that's
the
the
first
whole
three
game
games
was
were
built
built
around
around
that.
that.
Yeah. In fact, it was terrible.
The
Resident Evil Survivor.
the controls were bad, but it was built around the bad.
Well, I think
controls.
it's a
scenario.
scenario.
I'm not saying
No.
the controls were bad.
No,
because
they
they
fit
are
the game.
precise. It's kind of like
It's just uncommon. That's all.
it's
yeah.
kind of like I feel like it's almost as if you are panicked in a room and you aren't doing
Yeah.
things as fast as you want to do them. Like if someone ran through this door
Yeah.
and attacked us, you wouldn't be able to respond instantly like you do in a game.
You have to
There
do
is
that.
there is the delay of like turning around and.
Well, and also I think it makes it less like, oh, I have to line up my shot perfectly.
Oh,
Because
well,
you just,
there's the auto lock as well.
right, so it's more about the strategy behind
Yeah, it's like
combat.
chess. It's chess, yeah.
It's chess that's like actively trying to kill you in real time.
But then there's also something else to consider as well, which also works around the tank controls. Every time there's a screen transition, whether or not it was a limitation of the PS1, the game stops for a second. It gives you a second to breathe.
It was a limitation.
Okay, it was a limitation. But yeah, every time that you enter a next screen, not only is there that brief suspense of what's coming up next, but also like, okay, well now I can figure out where to position myself and where I should be turning left and right and blah. You have to you have to think
I guess
about
that does contribute also to like the oh god, Nemesis is right there.
It's like it's like if it was a first-person game, right? You can't see around the corner that's right in front of you.
Yeah.
But in Resident Evil, you most of the time can. So the way that they had to get around the whole feeling of how do I deal with this situation coming up in front of me is okay. Which button am I pressing at this? Obviously, it's not like algebra. It doesn't take like 5 minutes to figure out what button to press, but it's an added element of strategy.
So sorry, finish.
No. Yeah, it's an added strategy. Yeah.
So we were playing Resident Evil 2 on stream.
Twitch.tv/NormalBoots. Go subscribe.
Yes, do that. And the
Sub-only
the most intense moment of that stream was when I was playing Resident Evil 2, and we were all just like this because we weren't sure whether I was going to be able to turn towards a zombie and shoot it in time.
Yeah.
Because I had no health.
Do you know that? That reminds me. You know, that reminds me. The best. I think one of the most standout moments of Resi 2 is that bit when you go through that. There's the same corridor with loads of windows, and you think, oh, you know, the dogs come out the window in the first game. Something's going to happen. It doesn't for hours and hours and hours. And then one time you come through, arms everywhere coming through the building. And you don't know if you should be getting away from the windows or running past them or walking past them or shooting them. And it's like, it's a proper panic-inducing moment. And I think the controls do help with that. Well, but what this has got to do with Castlevania, I'm not 100%
the
sure.
original. So my point in the parallels of pointing out the controls was to demonstrate a few things. One, obviously the tone of Resident Evil 2 is different than Castlevania. But two, I'm not going to do what Jared did and say what defines a PS1 game because each game
Thank God.
I think we can't do that. I think we've learned from the last few seasons that like defining what makes a good PS1 game is just going to make us argue the wrong way.
Just my perspective, I'm going to be looking at it as just what's the best game that just so happens to be on PS1.
Correct.
Yes, exactly.
Especially because a lot of some of the games here weren't console exclusive. They were seen on the Saturn, they were seen on N64, whatever it may be.
And even nowadays, Symphony of the Night's on like Xbox Live and PSP and phones.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
But to go along with that, I think that what I am trying to get at is what is important to people as games. For me, one of the most important aspects of a game is gameplay in terms of how the controls play and feel. And I think to not to discredit Resident Evil 2 for its tank controls, because I personally think the tank controls work.
I love them.
I think they figured out how to make them better in each iteration after RE1.
Yeah, they get smoother. Yeah,
they get more smooth. That's why the remake.
Think about it this way. I think
perfected.
people forget Resi 4 is tank controls.
Yeah.
People forget
I was going
that.
to bring up RE4
Yeah,
as
it's
an
tank
example
controls.
where, like,
It's just over the shoulder instead.
I have no nostalgia for the tank controls in RE2.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just viewing them through a more modern lens where it's like, they get the job done. And it's like, it's the same thing as in RE4 if you could move and shoot at the same time.
In fact, actually, I don't know if anyone's seen this, there's a YouTube video, someone modded RE4 with fixed camera angles, and you can see that the way the game is built, it's built to be a Resident Evil game. It's just over the shoulder.
There's literally a mode in Resident Evil 5 DLC that does the same thing.
Oh, is there?
The exact
I never
same
played
mode.
the DLC.
You play as Jill and Chris in a mansion.
Oh, you go to find Wesker, don't you?
Yeah, and there is a mode where it does the same thing. So you guys are right in the sense that the game fundamentally was designed to be tank controls, no matter what.
I think the point you were getting at, though, and kind of a comparison that just popped up in my head. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it's like hot knife through butter, those controls.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's built on a really solid foundation.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
Resident Evil 2 is like trying to drag a stick through a pool of pudding.
Yeah, but there's also, like, it's just what Barry said, like, Castlevania Symphony of the Night was what, the 7th Castlevania game? Like what?
Yeah,
it
was the first of that sort of
that
format.
kind of that format. But I mean, even with the controls.
I
mean, even Castlevania 4, people argue that that's
we're not comparing it to Castlevania 2, but Castlevania 2's controls were also like a stick through pudding.
So like they had loads more time to refine it, but then with Resident Evil 2, I don't know.
The issues
it's so hard to compare the two.
The issues I have with Symphony of the Night don't have to do with its controls, though. The issues I have with it are like the weird tacked on RPG elements that never. I haven't played through all the game, right?
Yeah, you
So
kind
I'm
of have
talking
to,
about kind of like
yeah.
a slice of the game, but it's like they don't add anything. You're hitting stuff and you level up. And it's like
no,
I'm still hitting stuff.
Yeah, you need to play more of the
You
game.
need to play a little bit more of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because the
So,
game.
can you guys talk about the?
Yeah. So, well, when it comes to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, there are certain elements that end up evolving, right? Like I said, when we were playing on stream, you were having a hard time, like, oh, these monsters are really difficult to fight. They're really hard.
Because I wasn't using my shield and I was being stupid.
Right. But the thing is that the beautiful thing about Symphony of the Night is that everything is purposely choreographed.
It's about growth. It's about
growth. It's about snowballing, and it's about understanding that like you can't just hack and slash your way through everything. It looks like a hack and slash kind of Metroidvania type thing. Obviously, it is. That's what sort of the term, but you have to take your time as you go through each room. Why am I killing each monster? Am I leveling up properly? And the leveling up aspect snowballs because of certain skills that you get. You transform into different animals.
Yeah, I didn't
But
see
then,
any of the,
then
like-
that doesn't happen through the progression of the game just playing out. You have to look for that stuff, and you have to solve miniature puzzles. You have to explore, which is kind of like Resi 2. You explore for the ammo to keep your game going, blah 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 blah. But that's more to just keep the game extended more than actually growing, I suppose.
The further you get in the game, you start fighting enemies that you can't just one-hit kill anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where the leveling up aspect really takes into consideration. It's not like you're trying to grind to get to level 99 per se, but it's more like you will have a easier time dealing with some enemies, and by the time you're at the end of the game, you go back to the first area, you are one-hit killing everyone, but your appreciation of the speed and balance of everything has gone through the roof.
It's also what you've done to get to that point as well,
Right.
because it doesn't just happen. You have to work for it.
Well, just from the slice that I play though, so I'm used to the, as I said, the Metroid side of Metroidvanias, where it's like everything you get helps you.
Yeah.
Even
Oh,
like
yeah,
the big
yeah, yeah,
transformative upgrades, absolutely, of course, they're usually like required to progress. But then even like any random missile upgrade, anything you find only helps you.
helps you, yeah, you're
Whereas
right,
in Castlevania, it's like, oh, I got a new sword and it has worse stats.
Yeah.
Well, I think, but
that's because it has sort of a more open map, I guess, and it's because of those RPG elements where
Well,
you get that
it's also worth considering that you do have all those weapons, but then you can't. When you switch them up, it does change the way that the game is played quite a bit. Like there's that. What is it? There's a weapon that's just like brass knuckles, isn't it? And it's like you have that, which is useful.
It's like really short
sometimes.
range.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it has everything has a cost and a benefit. Resident Evil 2 is more like, oh, so you get the pistol, shotgun is a more powerful pistol. The grenade launcher is a more powerful shotgun. It's just it's the same thing.
Rocket
you get
launcher.
more powerful. Yeah, you get more powerful, but there's not really much change to the actual
The way
how
you play the game
the
doesn't-
game. Exactly.
Sure, okay.
But with Castlevania, you do change how you play the game.
I think the thing you have to remember too is that, like it is a Metroidvania or really like an RPG more or less, right? Certain enemies have drop certain items, so you're gonna sometimes kill an enemy
Well, there's
and it's
that,
gonna
yeah.
drop the red rusted sword over and over again because you happen to be fighting the enemy as you're passing through the hallways. But as you go further into the game, you're gonna start getting more and more rare gear based on who you're killing, the chances of it dropping, so on and so forth. The most powerful item in the game is the Chrysogrim. It's this like incredible sword that everyone praises because it's so powerful and so fun that it has a really low percent to drop, but everyone gets to that point in the game goes, ooh boy, I want to grind for this item because it changes the game, changes almost everything with how Alucard functions.
Yeah.
Wow.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
We're gonna have to start wrapping up. Does anyone have any final points they want to drop for either of these?
What is a man?
I'm really
A miserable little
I'm really
pile of
undecided.
secrets.
I really don't know
They're
which
so.
one.
The problem is they're so different. They're
I think
so.
we should at least touch on like the horror aspects and how the games utilize those in like their enemy design and like the bosses
Yeah,
and stuff.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, actually, do you know what? This is for me personally. I've just. I was gonna say, okay, let's go for music and stuff. Well, I can't just decide between like Resident Evil 2's police station theme, which is amazing, and Castlevania, which
has some
is
of the
just
best music.
exactly. So, but no, what's actually sold it for me is the entire ending portion of Resi 2 with Birkin. That whole bit is incredible, and for PS1, his transformation and everything, like. Oh my god! I don't. There's some PS2 and PS3 games that haven't done that so well. If you said to me right now, what do you want to play right now, Resident Evil 2 or Castlevania? I'd go, yeah, Resident Evil 2. So that must say something.
Well, I think the art style in Castlevania holds up way
Yeah.
more.
Oh yeah,
than
Resident Evil 2.
Gorgeous game.
The fact that Resident Evil 2 is getting a remake this year or next year.
Yeah, you're right.
Going to Shane's point of bringing up like the horror elements, I really like the gothic style of the Castlevania games because it's more timeless than the.
But then the police station, Resident 2 is very gothic as well.
Well, it's stuck in this like 90s. Like,
it is.
It looks like a 90s.
I think the difference is
Leon's haircut is too 90s for me.
Yeah.
I think the difference is Resident Evil takes modern day reality and sort of like skews it and implies like body horror.
So, Caddy, if you had to vote,
Resi 2. Yeah.
Resi 2.
Yeah.
All right.
And that does not mean Castlevania's worse. I just think I would.
You've learned what it's like to be on Madness. Yeah.
First episode.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull a Shane Gill technique from last season and say that if I saw two CRT TVs next to each other, and one had Castlevania, one had Resident Evil, while the core of my human being and remembrance and memories and many, many hours in my life I've spent total have been on Resident Evil 2, I think Castlevania is the better game. That's my vote.
I'm going to use the same logic, and I'm going to go with Resident Evil 2. We played them the other day. I don't feel like playing Castlevania.
Yeah.
I feel like playing more
The
Resident
thing is,
Evil 2.
if you think about how big Castlevania is, it's kind of a put-off, isn't it? Because you have to invest so much into it. But with Resi 2, you can just jump in and like, oh, here we go, survival horror, let's go.
I know we're voting right now, but I actually, like, you can pick up Symphony of the Night and be like, I don't remember where I left off and be fine, but RE2 is like, a lot of the game looks the same throughout it, so it's like, if you just pick up RE2 and you're like, oh crap, what was the last thing I did? Whereas in Symphony of the Night, it's like, oh, I can pull up a map and see where I am and be fine.
That does matter less in Resident Evil, though, because it's like 6 hours to get through.
Yeah.
Whereas in Castlevania, it's like...
Barry.
What does Barry think?
God.
Based on the 20 minutes you played of both games.
Yeah, I mean, and also just based on a lifetime of hearing about it, right? Yeah. I tend to enjoy more Metroidvanias than survival horror. That would be my genre of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I definitely had more immediate fun with Resident Evil 2 when we played it. Especially the story you mentioned where it's like, oh, he's gonna turn around, oh, like that's just like, that's so exciting. Whereas Symphony of the Night was just kind of like, There he goes.
Yeah,
but it's not that same kind of game.
Resident Evil stands out because not many games do that. Silent Hill arguably does a lot similar.
And it's kind of unfair to like judge Castlevania on its first like half an hour
because
it's a slow burn.
It is.
Pretty much every Metroidvania is like strong start then slow.
If you play the first hour of Super Metroid, you'd be like, oh man, this is rough.
Like that Ridley fight was kind of cool, but now what am I doing?
And now you have no items, and now you're.
So that's why my vote is going to Symphony of the Night.
Cool.
All right, because
well, it's not deliberate. It's not. I'm sorry, Lee.
You're the decider.
I just feel like I would rather spend more time right now learning what that game is. Whereas Resident Evil is like
makes sense.
I haven't played it. I don't know the beats. I kind of know what that game is.
Yeah, you don't need to like. There's no like insane training to it unless you go with one of the stupid.
Whereas like I wanna learn why Symphony of the Night is still held up in so high esteem. So that's kind of how I'm looking into it. So
I don't
sorry,
want
Lee.
to put any pressure on you.
No, I don't want to put pressure, but you have
the internet section at home right now. Is,
no. You shouldn't use the future comment section to judge.
That's true.
You're gonna
That's
break.
true.
You know what? No.
Just remember, Resident Evil 2 had an incident with zombies.
There's been an
incident. Yes. So you gotta remember that as well.
You know what? Fuck the comments. Based on your arguments, I think Resident Evil 2 is the winner.
Ooh.
Dear Internet, as we now explore the rest of this bracket, just know that I have your back, I have your sword, I have your shield. I am in a losing battle for the next God knows how many episodes. Prepare. This is not just madness. This is a massacre. This is not going to go well. You're not going to like where it goes, but know that
Citizens of Raccoon City.
Big Papa J's got
There's been a
your back.
massacre.
This is not good.
Like, okay, this matchup is like
This was cruel. This was really
could have been the
cruel.
finals.
These are like two of my favorite games.
Yeah,
on
this
entire
really
bracket.
cruel, really cruel. Do you know what as well you got to think about as well? There are other Castlevanias that are like, some of them improved over it, some of them didn't, you know, but then with I don't know, Resident Evil 2 just stands out. It's just like...
I wasn't expecting to vote for Resi 2.
Oh.
Like,
we
I'm
did
glad-
good.
I didn't know either.
No,
Actually,
no,
to be
no,
honest.
I didn't. It's when you start thinking about it. That's when you start changing
Yeah.
your mind. Yeah.
Sorry, Gerard.
I am
Man, you're
fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
I cannot wait to see the dislike bar.
Wait. Which game's harder to complete? That's the question.
Symphony of the Night.
Oh yeah, because you gotta get everything.
But
Yeah.
Who do you think should have moved on to the next round? Let us know down in the comments below. Also, if you liked this, don't forget to like and subscribe because we have more episodes of Madness every Tuesday and Thursday. Also, don't forget to enter our giveaway for your chance to win a PlayStation Classic and PS4 Pro.